Hello, I am Hannah.
I'm Echo.
And I'm Crystal.
And this is a news, culture, and current events podcast from the perspective of three YouTubers. Hannah and Crystal, I guess. What are you guys salty about this week? Are we talking... What's the subject? What are we going to talk about today?
So many.
I've got a menagerie of things that I'm salty about.
A menagerie. I like the vocabulary.
Most of the things are just like announcements, not so much salt. But I do have one thing that I'm salty about, and it's the H3H3 controversy. Have you guys heard of what's going on? It's been a hot second. Okay.
I don't know if I've seen this.
Do we want to do that first, or do we want to talk about some other stuff first? Because
we can do that, but we can also very quickly be like, hey guys, sorry we missed last week.
Oh yeah, we missed a week.
Listen,
yeah. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Our schedules just did not coordinate.
It wasn't, It wasn't in the stars.
No. It's been those weeks.
Yeah.
Lately.
Also, I'm about to graduate from college. I almost said high school. I'm like a pinky away from graduating. I'm super close. So it's finals and stuff are happening, so I'm dead.
Yeah. Stuff has just kind of been all over.
But anyway,
it was hard, but we're back and salty about some shit. So let's talk about the H3H3 thing. Okay,
H3H3. So they were accused of transphobia for a reason that is kind of silly in my opinion, but I'll save more of my opinion until the end. I'll just tell you what it is. Ethan tweeted, and I quote, "My dick just touched the inside of the toilet bowl. There's no solution, I'm cutting my dick off." And then his next tweet was what made people so furious, I think.
It was.
He said, "I'm Ellen now, call me Ellen." So everybody was like, that's super transphobic, that's not okay for you to do, and I want to hear your opinions because I've thought about this a lot. So initial gut reaction, what?
I think it's a joke. I don't think it's worth all of that at all.
I think that the first part was funny and everything, but also I can definitely wrap my head around why people were upset, because it kind of reduces trans women, I guess, to just men who've had their dicks cut off. And that's not what trans women are. Trans women are just women who were identified as, like, male at birth. They're just, like, trans women who aren't cis women. And it's just, like, I can totally understand, like, why people are getting so upset, because it's, like, the way that he approached it is just very, like, you don't understand trans issues at all. Like, it just comes off, like, the joke that he made is very, like, misunderstanding of what, like, trans people are in general.
I can see that. I just think that amount of how mad people got is a little unnecessary.
It was a bit of an overreaction.
And, like, he's that guy who makes those jokes. You know what I mean? And the fact that it wasn't meant maliciously, it's just kind of like, it's not that serious. I think people did not need to take it to the level they took it to. That was pretty much
I feel like... Yeah.
So, people responded very over the top, obviously, as the internet tends to do. Which, you know, usually you can just discount as, like, a loud majority, or loud minority. Like, it's just the small amount of people, but they're very, very large about it. So, another thing that I wanted to mention, though, was people were retweeting it and doing that thing where they just repeat over and over, like, with the clapping hands, you know what I'm talking about? Where they just say the same thing over and over again. So this one tweet was just, H3H3 is transphobic 8 times in a row, which needs to stop. If you want to make a point, just say it once. It's okay, we're reading it. You don't have to say it over and over. If you want to act like you're shouting, put it in all caps. We'll read it as a shout in our mind. But I just hate when people do that. It's just a pet peeve of mine. Anyways, he retweeted that without blurring out the name, which... I really hate when people do that.
I personally hate that. Like when
actually,
people with large audiences link
He didn't retweet it, he screenshotted it. But he still didn't blur out the name. That's what I mean.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Screenshot, I'm going to give him a little credit. That's better than retweeting. Yeah. But it's still... Actually, I don't know, because if it's a retweet, then you can delete your tweet. If you're like, oh, I was an idiot, delete my tweet, and it's gone. Anyways... I have mixed feelings. Blur out the name, people. Just blur out the name if you want to shout somebody out.
Yeah, if you have an audience, it's just... Yeah, you're just being... I don't know. It's just you're opening this other person up for like waves of like dogpiling.
Go kill
hate
yourself
and
tweets. That's what's
Yeah.
gonna come their way. Your audience is gonna tell them to go kill
and you're gonna
themselves.
be at fault
Yes,
of that.
that is your fault directly. I think people are totally to blame for that kind of attention. Like, just don't do that to people.
No.
Yeah,
it makes
it's
me
not
super
right.
nervous.
Just like if you have a big audience, like I know a lot of people. Who was it? There was I think I was talking to Ash about this, and they were saying that the reason that I don't know what to call them, but like the one side of YouTube that does all of the like crazy cyberbullying stuff, that the reason that they say you have to be able to put the name is because you have to be able to give them like the ability to defend themselves or something, or you're holding them accountable for their actions or their point of view or some stupid thing like that. But it's like, no, it's not worth.
It doesn't
like,
give people room for growth, I don't think.
Yeah. The argument
and
that
you're
I've
also-
heard was that if they say it publicly, right, they without being on anon or anything like that, and somebody responds publicly, it's like, well, then you shouldn't have said that, basically.
Which is
and
not
that's the argument I've
false.
heard.
I think
it
that's
goes a little
true,
too
but-
far. If it's true, it's true if you're not a huge creator with a large following. You know what I mean? If you have
yeah.
like 100 followers on Twitter and you're just like, clap back at me, bitch, don't at me. Like, like, okay, you should still blur the name just because it's a nice thing to do, because nobody really deserves like hate. But
Yeah.
if you have that audience of like, I'm gonna say over 3,000 or 4,000 Twitter followers, over 1,000 Twitter followers, or any followers, you shouldn't do that. Because that means you have people who follow you for you, and they will mindlessly defend you, and that just goes to a bad place.
That's really what it gets at, is when people try to defend you regardless of what the opinion was.
Mm-hmm.
It's not leaving people room for growth. They can't change their mind in a appropriate way. Like, I don't know. It makes me nervous, and I just feel like you should just blur out the name.
Like, it's not appropriate to, I don't know, like, death-threatening someone into changing their opinion is not how people should be changing their opinions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the massive waves of hate.
They're not
if you're
gonna help.
like forcing someone to, like, trying to force someone to change their opinion, that's just not good. It's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. So that was one thing I wanted to mention. And the other thing I want to mention was he made a response video, which I think is a good thing anytime you're called out by something that you do, and you just need to talk about it, because a lot of things get misconstrued in text. Sometimes you just need to say it with your mouth. So he said, just because you were offended by a joke doesn't mean the joke was inherently offensive. And I love that. I think that's one of the best quotes in the whole world. I really enjoyed that. As somebody who is a big defender of comedy, like, I feel like a lot of times just take the joke. Even if, I mean, I've been personally insulted by so many jokes. Blonde jokes? Listen.
Oh my god. As a natural blonde, nobody knows this. I'm a natural blonde. I grew up, man, Hannah, I'm with you.
I was bullied
understand.
for so long.
Forever.
But listen, it's a joke. And, sometimes things are not funny, but it's okay. And I just feel like people need to start realizing that sometimes there are just bad jokes. And, you don't need to take everything so seriously. That being said, I will never specifically call out a group of people that are currently being persecuted to the amount that some of this group of people are being put to death for what they are. That is probably a line that shouldn't be crossed. But if somebody's going to cross it in the name of comedy,
do you think
it's
he
still
did
comedy.
that here?
You
know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he didn't.
Like, I can see how.
specifically.
Did you guys watch the Dave Chappelle
Yeah.
specials on Netflix that everybody got really mad about?
Yeah.
I can see more so. I watched it. I thought it was hilarious.
I thought it was
but
fucking funny,
I
too.
watched it. And his recovery in the next one was equally hilarious. But I can see those more so. I can way more understand people being like, you're attacking us. We're already having such a bad time. Like, don't do that. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Probably shouldn't have said that. Like, that's not cool. But then he came back and owned up to it and was like, let's talk about my own inner problems and why I said that, which is a great response to that kind of thing. Ethan here, I don't think he did that. That specific...
Yeah. See, another thing, like another huge problem that I have with this whole scenario is that, like, I'm not trans. I am, like, a cis
That's
woman,
true.
and so I'm not going to jump up and try and defend Ethan and say, like, all you trans people are just overreacting. Because, like, I can't speak to what they feel when they hear a joke like this or when they experience this kind of thing. I'm not going to defend Ethan and, like, these potentially transphobic jokes because I'm not a trans person, so I don't know how that feels. And I don't just want to be, like, another person who doesn't experience those things saying, like, I don't know. Does that make any sense?
Point.
Well,
Yes.
on that
I
point,
like that.
I totally agree with you. On that point, I wanted to ask you guys' opinion on somebody like me trying to stand up and be like, hey, that's not okay. I'm offended by that, although I'm not a trans woman. Like, does that make sense? Can I be offended for them? Because this gets into, like, the whole, like, professionally offended, like, culture that we're doing here.
Yeah.
And I go back and forth on this fucking all the time. Because things offend me, and then I'm like, oh, they shouldn't offend me because I'm not even being persecuted. But then, you know, it's a minority, so we need to fucking stand up for minorities that can't stand up for themselves.
I would say you just care. You know what I mean? If something doesn't directly affect you and you, like, feel a hurt almost for those people, I would say that's a positive thing.
It's because you care.
It's because you care. And I can't see how caring and having empathy for the rights and well-being of other people that you don't necessarily relate to being a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It's when you get into
I
that,
think
like,
advocating
speaking for them that I feel like
That's,
the line.
yeah, when do you speak up, I guess, is the problem.
It's I see it as, like, advocating for a group, because it's one of those things where it's like, as a white passing person, people are more likely to listen to me, if that makes any sense. At least that's my understanding of how.
I can't tell you how many. There's one specific guy. We have a ton of Middle Eastern kids at our school. I don't know why, but they decided to come across the sea to Cookeville, which is like the last place in the whole world that I would want to go if I was from the Middle East. But anyways, when, like, they're just chilling and studying in the library, there's a specific guy who will go and try and preach to them, and he doesn't go to school there. He's like in his 60s, and I'm like, dude, get the fuck out of here. I kick him out every single time.
That's harsh.
So, as a Christian, I'm gonna go kick out another Christian man because I don't like the way he's speaking to the Muslim children. That is something that I do all the time.
Hell yeah. Same.
I don't like that. And it drives me nuts. In a house of learning, you're gonna come to preach, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
No, dude, that inner Christian anger, I understand.
It makes me so mad. This is not the place nor the time. If you want to preach to them, get some donuts, get some coffee, and go to a corner. People will come to you.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's how I feel.
Pretty much.
Anyway, sorry, I derailed.
I guess what was it? Speaking for people?
Yeah, speaking for people.
Yeah, I feel like that's why the whole, like, advocating for, like, phrase exists. It's like advocating for a group that you're not part of isn't necessarily the same as, like, as long as you're advocating for and not speaking over.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
so
just
I think
such a weird line.
If you are, like,
Yeah,
offended for another group, I suppose instead of being like, how dare you, perhaps be a little bit more like, hey, that is potentially offensive to people, and it annoys me, therefore other people are probably annoyed. You should probably check what you just said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, a logical, toned, I'm speaking up for these people because you don't seem to care about them. Take it how you like. Seems to be the best approach, perhaps. But, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know.
I've lived such a privileged life. I find myself saying all sorts of stuff that I shouldn't, and, you know, it's a learning process. I love it when people calmly correct. Just be like, hey, my dude, maybe you shouldn't say it like that. That is my favorite thing in the world. When I get those comments, I'm like, oh, thank God somebody said something in a nice way so I can learn from this. And I won't say it like that next time. Like, did you guys know that the term prostitute is no longer socially acceptable? It's sex worker.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know.
I'm not
for
surprised.
So long.
That makes a lot of sense.
Instead of, like, prostitute, like, disassociates it. They're workers just like anybody else. They're sex workers. And anyways, I learned that recently, and I'm like, oh, well, now I'll say that. I just didn't know.
I think what the internet needs to learn is that everybody is constantly learning. What's that? Your favorite's problematic? It's like, yes, I'm problematic.
Yes.
Especially as a conservative high schooler. Oh my God, the shit I said.
Yeah.
And I've grown as a person because people have been kind enough to not treat me like shit, even though I acted like shit. So, you know, we grow and we calmly correct and we be kind to others and understand that they're learning. You know, there's room for change and growth.
I feel like the tone towards political correctness wouldn't be so aggressive from the conservative side if people would just calmly correct and, like, educate.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't think everybody will take it well, but
No.
more people would take it well if you were to just say, hey, my dude, let's not do this.
Yeah.
For these reasons. And, of course, you need to explain yourself as well.
Yeah.
Because you can't just come up with random rules. People aren't going to like that.
No.
But I don't know.
No.
I'm glad I got your opinion on that, though. I those types of things I go back and forth on so much that I love hearing what other people think.
Yeah.
Because I want to learn more.
That's a good way to be.
I love seeing comments like that too, because it seems like when people are really nice about it, it feels like genuine concern, like, oh, I just wanted to let you know. And it's like, oh, thank you for, like, making sure that I don't make a fool of myself.
That's exactly what I feel
on
like,
this
too.
massive platform.
It's somebody that knows more than you telling you what you should, like, that you're learning things. I don't know. It's just somebody who's more knowledgeable than you. Of course you're going to want to learn from somebody who knows more than you. I don't know.
And also, we're all victims of society. Like, we've all been trained to behave in certain ways, and a lot of the time we don't realize it. So, I don't know, I like finding out that, like, oh, by the way, like, you're doing this because it's like, this is how society has trained you to do it, but you actually probably shouldn't because it's problematic for these reasons.
Hell yeah.
I don't know, that kind of stuff makes me
I'm
happy.
down. Yeah, I'm here for it. I'm ready for it.
That whole, like, people make fun of the check your privilege, and maybe we can come up with another term for it, but essentially it's just like, look back on where you are. The shoes that you're in are not the shoes that other people are in, and acknowledge that they may be better shoes. You might have Nikes, and somebody else might have rip-off Reeboks with holes in them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like check your privilege is not a good way to say it. You shouldn't come at them like you are living a better life than everybody, because they've had their own struggles as well. Everybody can be depressed and
that's
have
another
issues.
thing. Like, having privilege is not necessarily that it doesn't mean that you've lived a life free of struggles.
Yes.
It just means that you've not had to potentially
ones.
think about things like this before.
Yeah.
And I feel like recognizing your privilege is just recognizing, like, where you fall in society.
Yes.
And being conscious of who has it harder than you and who has it easier.
Yes.
Not, like, I don't even like saying it that way. Like, who has, like,
It's just
I
different
don't know, who,
levels
like, works
of...
against the grain and with the grain.
Yeah. I feel like everybody's got... I don't know. I really honestly sometimes feel like everybody has the same amount of stress and same amount of intense feelings. It's just how much it's gonna, like, affect your life. Like, I'm stressed about, you know, paying my rent, but somebody else is stressed to the level that they're gonna, like, get kicked out of their home. I'm not gonna get kicked out of my home, and I know that, but I'm still stressed about it. Yeah, does that make any sense? I don't know.
That's like the hedonic treadmill. It's like you, this was like a slightly depressing thing that I learned about. You have like a natural level of happiness that you will adjust to. So even if your life is like perfect, you're still gonna be at that same, like if it's above or below average.
True.
Yeah, it's totally
Yeah, if you look it up, it's called the hedonic treadmill. And it's like, mine is like just below happy, so I'm constantly like, oh, I need to make things better. I need to like, so I'm having to like constantly work harder. So it's like I'm just kind of leaning forward and I'm like constantly does that make any sense? It's like
God, yes.
so frustrating. But yeah, so it doesn't really matter. Like, the external factors don't really matter as much as you might think that they do. So you have to like work on adjusting your default level of happiness if you actually want to be a happier person.
I would totally agree with that. And of course, again, I'm going to keep saying this whole time we're having this conversation. I live a great life. I'm very lucky in a lot of ways. I know I am. But that being said, computer science in college is not the easiest thing in the whole world. And I do feel like I might have more stress than some people. I'll tell my ulcers that. And and I had to stop like a few years ago and be like, it's always gonna be this way for me. It doesn't matter if it's during the summer and there's nothing going on. I'm always this stressed. oh no. And that's when I got on medication.
That's how I am too. Like, it feels like a constant thing. It doesn't, at a certain point you realize, like, wait, I'm technically doing either much better or worse than before, and I feel the same.
Yup.
Yeah.
It's not situational, it's mental.
Yep. It's within yourself.
It is, oh my god, happiness
Which is so
inside you.
cheesy, but so true.
Yeah, it is. But again, that being said, everybody has their own problems, and you know, there's a whole lot of experiences none of us will ever go through, and thank God for that. In a lot of ways, I'm pumped.
Yeah, same. But there's definitely something to, like, taking a moment to be like, oh man, I'm not gonna have to deal with that, most likely. That person has to deal with that all the time, and that has prevented them from blah blah blah. So, like, I don't know. I don't like the term check your privilege, but, like, acknowledge others'
It sounds
lives.
like I feel like the problem, or, like, one of the problems with, like, check your privilege, it sounds so, like,
It's aggressive.
I don't know, condescending or something. Yeah, it's very aggressive.
I think
you
it is
haven't had
condescending.
problems. It comes across that way. It might not be meant that way.
Yeah.
But it
You
certainly
haven't
comes
had
across.
problems is the exact problem with that. That is exactly my issue with it, because they totally have had their own problems, and you'll never know their problems.
Yeah.
Like, and,
Yeah,
you
like,
know-
the association with, like, privilege and struggle makes me very sad.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
I don't know. It's just it's a comment on how you, like, float through society. It's not necessarily, like, a note on your struggles, if that makes any sense. I don't know, that's kind of how I see it.
Totally.
Yes. I like talking about things that I don't know about that much, which is probably what I shouldn't be talking about, but it's nice. I feel like I'm learning so much every time I talk about it.
Seems easy.
Anyways, alright. We had a couple other things that we just wanted to, like, quickly mention. So, you're talking about, like, the Casey Neistat thing. I don't know about that.
okay.
Somebody talked about that.
Yeah, explain this.
Okay,
Yes.
well, I mean, okay, so basically, how do I do this? Okay, so I don't really watch. I follow Casey Neistat, but I don't watch all of his videos. But I know that he was, like, took a time off of daily vlogs. I didn't even realize he did, but he did.
I noticed, I
and
think.
he came back and he was like, I'm doing a thing now, where he kept the Beam office because that didn't work out for him, but he kept the offices there, and he's like, I'm gonna turn this thing into a huge collaborative space, and I'm gonna call it 368 because that's the number of the street.
Oh, right.
So,
I was like, wow, it's like 3 extra days in a year? What's he thinking?
no, 368 Broadway is where the location is. So
you know
he was
what
just
I
like,
I was
don't
thinking
know
8
what
more
this
degrees than
company's-
360.
His whole thing is like, I
like,
don't
what
know
does
what the
it mean?
company's gonna be, but I want it to be a thing. So I'm using this space to make a collaborative, like, my YouTube friends can come. And what I particularly loved, he was like, the creator community in New York City sucks.
Yep.
And he wants to fix that. And I said, hell the fuck yeah,
Nice.
Casey. Hell the fuck yeah. Bring the people over here, please. And so basically that was a cool thing that he was doing. And I'm curious to see where he's going to go with it. But Jack Conte, who, if those who do not know, is a friggin' YouTube OG. You learn your history.
Yeah, I don't know him.
He is the owner and creator of Patreon. And he is one half of the band called Pomplamoose, which made some of, like, old
remember
YouTube
them.
hits,
I remember them
man.
as well. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, when you said the name, it didn't hit me, but Pomplamoose, I know.
I'm a huge fan of both of Pomplamoose and both of the members, Jack and Natalie. And I remember following them when Jack made Patreon, and I was like, he's such a visionary. And that's the thing about Jack. He's a huge visionary. He's super fucking creative. And so he saw Casey's thing, and he was like, oh man, I have an idea. So he made this video, which is a really fucking well put together video, but what else do I expect of Jack Conte? And it went viral. It got Casey's attention, and he's essentially just like, I have an idea, and I bought my ticket to New York City, and I hope you talk to me.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so he did that, and came to New York City, and Casey met with him like, what? What is it? Because he was like, are you trying to get me to sign up for Patreon? And he was like, no, Patreon potentially will be involved, maybe, but it's going off of what you already have going on. And they didn't reveal what it was. Casey put it in one of his vlogs, and then after the fact, Jack made a follow-up video, an also equally amazing follow-up video, pretty much like dipping his toes into what it could potentially be. And I'm excited about it because essentially he brought to Casey of like a small creator sponsorship almost. Like a program
Ooh.
that takes smaller, I guess, essentially underprivileged YouTube creators who have a lot of potential and giving them funds every month to make this their full-time job and essentially kickstarting their careers
That is
and then
awesome.
letting them go on their way.
Nice.
That is awesome.
Yes.
That's what YouTube
And-
should be doing.
I know! Okay, but I got so excited about it because I was like, that's fucking brilliant. And he said, Patreon comes into play with potentially being the place that funds that initiative and funds that place. Because I'm sure there'd be a lot of people who would pay monthly to help support the careers of new creators.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's
Yeah.
essentially like where it comes in. And Casey liked the idea, and Jackie's like, there's just a whole bunch of stuff before this is even official. It might not even happen, but that's
No.
what we talked
I
about.
hope it does. That's
And Casey seems on
awesome.
board. They said they talked for like 2 or 3 hours. And I'm so hyped. Like,
That is so good. Stuff
That's
like that
awesome.
makes me excited about YouTube again. I haven't been excited about YouTube in years. We were talking about this a little bit beforehand. I've started going into opening a new chapter in my YouTube book, which is just do whatever the fuck I want. It's a great new chapter. I'm having a really good time with it. My audience is not. But it's been so much fun. And I haven't felt this way about YouTube since I started YouTube. And I feel like this happens to a lot of creators where you just, I don't know, the passion's gone and it's,
It's like you get desensitized to it.
it just
You
feels,
get numb.
I don't know. Anyways, I started thinking to myself, like, if this is going to be the fun job that would be ideal for me to have, and I'm not having fun with it, then it's not the fun job.
yeah, essentially.
Yeah. Anyways, that is so exciting. To give, all I want to do
Dude.
is fund creators that are doing exactly what they want, and it's
Yes.
good.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm
I
all
saw
about
that
that.
and I was like, I am all over
I
that.
will-
Like,
I will put money into
holy
that, for
shit.
sure.
Like, hell the fuck yeah.
I
And it's in
love
New York
that.
City. We're promoting the creator community in New York City, which, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
what?
I don't know
Where
why.
is-
It's,
New York is a good place for it.
This is an aside salt here. I'm really mad about the fact that LA is like the place.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, what the fuck is wrong with New York City? Like the only creators, I mean, there are some. Binging with Babish is here. Joe Santagato, Akila,
I like
obviously.
Binging with Babish.
Binging with Babish is awesome.
I know. And Casey.
Jake, oh my gosh,
Who?
Jake Roper.
Jake
He
Roper?
was from Vsauce 3, I
Oh,
think it is.
yeah.
He used to be from New York, and then he moved to LA.
Damn it.
I think he goes back and forth.
Come back.
But yeah.
Anyway, so like the creator community here is not very poppin', and if it is,
I
nobody
can't
talks to
imagine
each
why.
other.
It's really weird that it's not, because there's so many people in New York. But it really,
Yeah.
I mean, I noticed that when we were there too. It's like, nobody's there.
No, dude, and I hate it because I'm like, this is like one of the cities. When people from other countries are like, I want to go to America, they don't say I want to go to LA. They say I want to go to New York City.
Hell
So
yeah.
why the fuck isn't this more of a creator hub?
don't know.
Like, I don't understand.
I think it absolutely could be. It's just not yet.
and
But I
that's
hope
why I'm
Casey
so
helps it
happy
get there,
about
yeah.
what Casey's doing.
I think he
Bring
could
them.
single-handedly
them here.
get it there, to be honest.
I hope so. I don't want to feel like I have to move to LA to be successful in YouTube.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
there's no
Like,
way I'm moving to LA. At least,
No.
like, long-term, I can't imagine doing that. What a hell city. It's always
I
on
don't
fire.
want to. I want.
It's weird because it's like,
And no water there.
I have a love-hate relationship with LA.
I've actually
Like-
never been. I'm just talking shit.
I mean, I've been there,
It's
and I
like,
almost
the weather's
moved there.
amazing, the beach is awesome. It's so expensive, though.
Yeah,
Like-
I mean, it's New York City is also very expensive.
New York City is very expensive. New York and LA are very comparable. I'm used to Phoenix because it's a cheap city. It's like
Yeah.
the generic version of cities.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so much more affordable. Like if you're looking for a big city to move to that's super cheap, Phoenix. Like if I wasn't living in Phoenix, I probably couldn't afford to be a YouTuber.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. These cities that YouTubers tend to pick are very expensive. I don't
Yeah.
know. I feel like there should be some here. I've been here for like a lot of years now. I feel like, what the fuck? Get it together.
Yeah.
I know New Yorkers are like antisocial, but like, guys, come on. Like,
It always
Damn.
surprises me, like, how, sparse the YouTube community in New York is.
It's so
That-
sad.
Yeah. Like, there's no
Yeah.
really big ones except for Casey that I can think of.
There's a few, like the ones that I named essentially.
Yeah.
There's like 6.
Yeah.
But I mean, like all of them
Everybody
are,
is in
is
LA.
in LA.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like the YouTube space here. Not to hate on the YouTube space, if you're listening, New York YouTube space, I love you.
They're great. They're really
very
nice.
But when you look at the events page of the
Yeah.
New York City YouTube space versus the events page of the LA YouTube space, it's a little
The LA
little
one
different.
is,
Like, not really much is
it's
going on.
so big.
like even in London is more poppin'. Echo, you were telling me about how London had this like Halloween party. I'm like,
Oh,
ain't
I
no
love-
fucking parties
yes.
happening here. Like, I don't get it. There are no parties in the New York City YouTube space. New York City YouTube space, guys, what the fuck? I want a party. Like,
The London YouTube space is, like, the best thing ever in terms of, like, community events, because they're so connected with their community. Like, they know all of the YouTubers, and the YouTubers know all the people.
Yeah, it's
Which is
insane.
also kind of frustrating, because then it's like, if you're not part of that community, then
It's a
you're just,
clique.
like, a stranger,
Yeah.
outsider.
Yeah.
Oh my.
I mean, London's creator community is exponentially, I think, better than New York's, because New York is essentially non-existent. But it's also, from what I've seen, very cliquey.
Yeah, I'm just
there. Yeah.
not about it.
Yeah.
I
And I'm
can't.
not into that.
Yeah,
I can't.
Yeah, the one in London is so cliquey.
Yeah, I can't.
And it's very
It's high school again. It
sad.
freaks me out, man. I get flashbacks to high school.
And they're very, like, I don't want to say opposed to new people, but, I don't know, being super welcoming to outsiders is
I
not,
can
like,
understand where
their
they're
main
coming
priority.
Of course, they've all
Yeah.
known each other, from my understanding. I mean, I
They're all,
watched
like,
the
OG
videos.
YouTubers.
They've known each other
Yeah, they're, like-
forever. They've been on
Yeah.
forever. You know what I mean?
I
It's
don't
just-
like introducing new people to my friend groups either. Although I don't feel that same way
I
about
always
YouTube.
try
I
to.
feel that way in my personal life, but in YouTube,
Not
I'm
about
like,
YouTube.
bring them.
But I think the line with the London YouTubers, if you are one, hi, I love you. I'm not hating. I'm just observing as an unbiased separate party who has observed a few times now. It's the line is a little bit meshed, because a lot of them have known each other since high school, so they are their personal
Yeah.
friends and they are their YouTube friends, and it's
And they've
very
lived with
much
each other, and they've
you know,
gone to college
interconnected,
together.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Especially because, like, the UK, it's so easy to travel. Like, you can have a friend on the other side of the country and still see them fairly regularly.
I was
Like-
looking at that. I'm gonna visit Ireland this summer, which I'm super excited about.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I can't wait.
Nice.
But I'm taking a train from Dublin to Galway, which is all the way across the country. It's like
Yeah.
a 2-hour train ride.
No,
I know.
what?
And I just laughed. I
It's
was like, oh
nothing.
my god.
God.
I can't even
so jealous.
fathom. It takes longer
like
than
I
that
took
to
a
get
train-
across Tennessee. Either
Yes,
way.
I took a train from London to Edinburgh. It was 6 hours. It takes
different
6 hours
country.
to get from Phoenix to LA, and we're like neighboring states.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
6 hours to get, and that's
crazy.
like vertically the long way across this country.
Dude.
It's so compact.
The closest person to me on YouTube that's not in New York City is Hannah, and she's like a 14-hour drive away.
so far.
Like,
So far. Oh my god. For any of us to get to each other, for all of us to meet up,
It's so
a
freaking
big deal.
impossible.
it would
It's
take
so-
Oh, in case you
days.
don't know, we're all in different states right now. We're all in different parts of the country.
yeah.
It would be like
America.
actual like 2-day travel. Is it like it's like an
Yeah.
18-hour drive
Yeah.
from Arizona
It's
to
like-
DC, right?
For me, it's like $200 to fly to New York, because New York and Phoenix have very large, like, international-ish
Yeah.
airports. So it's like $200 for me to fly to Crystal.
I'm
I don't know how
jealous.
on earth I would even get to, like, where Hannah is.
Dude, Cookville, it's an hour and a half drive to the airport.
Oh my goodness. Girl.
So, yeah, it's a good time. Yeah, America. Great stuff,
America.
huh?
Also, speaking of YouTube, another thing that is on the list that I had saw that's YouTube news, not really YouTube salt, creator certification.
Yes. Give it to me.
You
Tell me
can-
more.
Oh,
Currently
yeah. What
get-
is this?
You can get YouTube certified right now if you want, but it's not the same thing. So you can be YouTube certified, and that like allows you to talk about YouTube, and YouTube you have their stamp of approval to be like, yeah, I know about how YouTube works. YouTube is talking about taking that and like supering it up. So it's all very unofficial, but they released a statement essentially saying we are playing with the idea of creating some form of whitelist, but I don't think it's a whitelist. They didn't use that terminology. Basically, they're talking about creating like a certification where creators can provide them with information about videos they typically make, how often they curse, what kind of content is in it. They like really dive into like what they make, why they make it, in the context of how it works and what it is. And then they go through this course or this certification of some kind. YouTube says okay, and they'll stop demonetizing their shit.
That would be
and that's
so
essentially
nice.
how it works.
That's interesting.
So they tweeted that. Casey Neistat was like, this is cool, and then gave it some attention. And then YouTube was like, okay, this is like something we're in the works. Only a very small group of YouTubers are even working on it right now. If we get good feedback, then we'll continue. But I'm excited because if that's the case, if like family-friendly channels, or like even non-family friendly channels, like channels that are typically inoffensive, can be like, yes, I say fuck sometimes, but like I'm not making bad content. And YouTube will be like, cool, and then stop taking our money and suppressing us in the algorithm thereby. That would be great. Like,
Yeah,
That
makes a lot of
I'm
sense.
so down with that. I feel like
It would
we've
be
mentioned
beneficial
this
for the
before.
YouTubers and the people.
I feel like we've talked about them doing something
and
like
the-
this,
and
and it would be
YouTube. Yeah.
great. I'm sick of YouTube.
It would just make
demonetizing
so much
everything. It's
sense.
so exhausting.
I'm currently trying to write a very complicated video. I wrote it already and I'm making it, but even like filming it, I'm like, can I say that? And I was like, you know what? I just
Yeah.
have to accept that this is going to get demonetized because of the nature of the content. Like, it's not offensive, but it will get demonetized. I just have to deal with it.
Yeah.
I've been experimenting a lot recently. I think it has to do a lot with the tags. So
Yeah.
recently I haven't been tagging
Yeah.
videos like anything at all. Like I've been really careful about what I tag it with. But still, man, they'll snipe you out of nowhere sometimes. And I'm just sick of it. I'm just tired.
Yeah.
It takes steam out of creators so much. Like if you want to kill your creator's drive, you're nailing it. So that's why I'm so excited about them trying to improve it in any way at all. I'm still hopeful, but we were talking about this too. Philip DeFranco, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but we talk about him literally every week. We love him so much. He's been taking a break.
Yeah.
And it's unknown exactly what he's doing, right? Am I wrong about that?
I mean, he was in Japan. He was taking a
Okay.
break and then gonna come back. Well, he's back now. Like,
Yeah.
it's been like a week.
Yeah.
But he was taking a break before he dives into launching his news network, which he's been
Yes.
talking about doing for quite some
I think
time.
it's called Rogue
Yes.
Rocket.
Something like that?
Yes.
I'm not sure. I don't know the name of it.
I think that's what
But
it
they're
is.
talking about it. And he essentially said before he went away for a week, hey, there's not going to be news this week, but when I come back, I'm still going to be uploading the Philip DeFranco show. But he made it very clear that he is unhappy with how YouTube has been treating him, and it is no longer conducive to success for him. So he is no longer focusing on YouTube or making YouTube happy, and will be looking for other avenues of success for his news network, which is a big deal.
Yes. I think it is. He's a super big creator. As small as YouTube may think he is, he's a pretty big creator. I feel like I've
Dude.
seen so many people mention him just everywhere. Everybody knows him. I feel like, at least.
I feel like the YouTube community especially
Yeah.
knows him.
For sure. He's really good at what he does, and I think people value his opinion.
He's been around forever.
Yes, he's very OG. He's
Like-
from the beginning. But I'm excited to see what he's going to do, because I
Yep.
have similarly been frustrated with YouTube
Yeah.
for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
But I always want to see what new creators are doing, or old creators are doing.
I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Can
it's
I
like
do it
he's-
too?
yes.
Like, where are you going?
not like-
I want to know.
It's not like he's completely jumping ship. He's kind of like still keeping a hand on the ship, but like climbing into
Yeah.
the water, and I'm just like, just watching to see what happens.
I think that's essentially the smart thing to do. I don't think I can't say this for sure unless YouTube just implodes one day. I will leave YouTube in the foreseeable future, but will I expand and potentially stop uploading and focusing as much if another opportunity lets me be more creative and get paid and like all of that stuff? Hell the fuck yeah. I'm gonna go somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like
totally
I'll still be on
agree.
YouTube because it's a smart marketing move. It's a smart way to get an audience, even if it's not as much as you're used to getting.
It's where people
But
are.
That's where the people are.
That's where the
But if
people
there's another
are.
place, like
I'm gonna go
sure.
ahead and take a guess. I think he's starting his own website. I think he's gonna upload directly to the website. Rooster Teeth
think
has
that
been
would
doing
make
this
sense.
for years.
Yeah.
For fucking years. It's not like a crazy thing or anything that YouTubers would have their own website where they have their own ads. And it's nice because they'll never get demonetized, because it's their own site. But also they can choose their advertisers, so whatever content they want to upload is fine.
Yeah.
And I really like that for Rooster Teeth specifically because they do all sorts of crazy shit. And it, they don't have to censor stuff and they don't have to, like, be careful about what they talk about
Wasn't
when it's
Smosh
on their
doing
own
that too?
thing. Smosh did that as well, yeah.
Yeah, there's
Smosh
a
is
handful.
still doing that. I think it's a good idea, but you have to be a big creator for that sort of thing to work for you.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing Patreon, which is another.
Yeah, which Phil is.
Yeah.
He's keeping his hands in all the pots, man.
He's
also,
all
I
over the
noticed,
place.
since he came back, he's been uploading tidbits of his news, like, in stories to Twitter, and being like, hello, Twitter, here's this particular news story, and then, like, putting it up organically on Twitter, which he was not doing before. And that's kind of taking away the approach of, like, don't, like, take away your views from YouTube, which is, like, the big no-no. But it is making me consider, like, maybe I should do organic to certain, like, take my content and organically upload it to other places.
Dude,
and
I'm too fucking tired to do anything besides what I am doing now.
I feel like my online stuff has gotten so unorganized.
Well, because
I
you
need
don't
to
have
work
a
to put it
social
all
media
together.
manager. You don't have another
Yeah.
person
Oh my
that's
God.
hired to keep
That's
track
totally
of your
what
shit.
it is.
Essentially.
That's what they do. They have
I
people.
want a manager
essentially.
so bad.
I know.
That's
same.
like why they can coordinate everything
Yes.
so freaking well. It's like
People don't realize that.
It's
I don't
hard.
think.
What they're doing is hard, but I think more so what I was getting at was the idea that the audience isn't only on YouTube anymore.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
get an audience on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram
true.
and blah, blah, blah. And not be afraid to be like, oh, but if I don't get the view on the YouTube video, I'm not going to get the points. You know?
The fake internet points.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I'm so sick of YouTube, I gotta be honest. It's been degrading me for years. But I'm just I'm still excited about the internet. It's just specifically YouTube that has been wearing me out.
I was talking to my little sister about this, about how YouTube is kind of leaning in this like fast food garbagey content direction, where quickly produced, clickbaity, like zero thought, zero effort, quantity over quality style videos are the most functional.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because
that's
of the
absolutely true.
algorithm.
Yep.
Because it's all being curated by robots, and robots are determining what the best videos are on YouTube.
Yep.
Which I was gonna say, I listened to a podcast.
Yeah.
The same one that I recommended last time, the Rob Bell podcast. But there was one episode particularly that, like, fucked me up. It's called The Undernet, which is, like, the underbelly of the internet. And he's a very much a supportive of the internet type of guy. He's like, I do this on the internet, so it's like I'm not down-talking it. But essentially, like, broke down things he had observed. And one of the things he said that was like, whoa, it's like a truth about the internet that you need to understand is like the best, most creative, most positive and life-giving content on the internet is not what is popular. And if you are not popular, do not stop making what you're making.
Hell yeah.
And
I
it
totally
like,
agree.
I was like, oh, like, my heart, mi corazón. In Spanish.
I also want to say that, like, just because people don't appreciate your shit right now doesn't mean they will never. So that's a big thing too. It's like a lot of people weren't appreciated in their time. I know this is like more uppity about us than anything else, but like a lot of people, like, I have so many artists, but you know that's also kind of silly to compare it to because it's not exactly the same as like Van Gogh. But you know what I'm saying. A lot of people weren't appreciated right when they started doing things. Duh.
Yeah.
Because that's not the way things work. You gotta keep at it. You gotta get better. Just keep going, man. Creating things is too much fun to not do it. It's just, I don't know. It can get disheartening, but you gotta keep doing it.
Mm-hmm. And another thing that really hit me, especially because I've been on this break, was at the very end of the episode, he said, a truth about the internet that you need to understand is that they're not going to forget about you if you need a break.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they're going to be there to support you when you get back. They're going to, like, you know, the internet doesn't just halt because you, like, need some time. Or you need to figure your shit out. Or you're, like, you need to experiment or try something new. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh. It was a very good podcast. But I think a lot of creators get caught up in that. Like, once upon a time, I was listening to, back when Michelle Phan was still doing things on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
she was in an interview and she was talking about how, like, you can't take a month off. If you take a month off, your career's over. Right? And I was like, she's so successful. I want to be successful like her. Oh my God, I can never. Right? And that's so unhealthy.
It is crazy unhealthy. And
Yeah,
It's
it's
so
really
healthy.
bad.
I want to say that even if businessly it's not the best thing for your business, sometimes it's what you need for your health.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with taking a break. Like, I took a week off too, just last week, because, you know, I fucking needed it. And that's part of what makes this job so great, is that you can do that. If you can't
Yeah,
do that,
you
then
can
why do you want
decide.
this job? That's kind of how I feel anyways.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I've seen a lot of people who took breaks and their channel just, like, tanked. And that's always a big fear of mine, too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking scary.
But I've also seen channels where, like, people will get a haircut and their channels will suddenly tank, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's so sad.
Sometimes things just happen and your channel tanks, but you know what? It's alright. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world.
The internet is endless, and you have endless
Sure.
possibilities within it. Like, there's a lot of good things happening that aren't necessarily getting highlighted or pushed to the top of the algorithms. What was it? Another thing from this podcast. This was a very good podcast. was what was it? A tweet about, you know, a single mother can pay her rent this month is not going to go viral. But for that one particular person, like, that single mother, that is the world. Dude, what was it? She's going to pay her rent this month because of the kindness of her friends. That was what it was. And, like, that means the world to that person. That is a life-changing, life-altering, like, uplifting thing. But that's not going to go viral. Kanye being like, I got dragon energy
Oh my
is
God.
what the fuck is going to go
That was
viral.
the
Oh my
weirdest.
God.
That was so weird.
I was reading that tweet out loud to my sister, and it sounds so, like,
I can't.
on something. He sounds like
sounds
either
like
drunk or
Trump.
high.
I mean,
Yeah, he sounds like something
They're taking
is
the same
wrong.
drugs. Their drugs are...
Yeah, whatever drug it is.
Yeah.
It's the same one.
Oh my god.
I can't.
They-
It's essentially, it's just no. The fantastical, the bullshit, that gets pushed to the top because it's absurd.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But what you're doing, what we do as creators and as artists, is impacting individuals to the point of that single mother who can pay her rent because of the kindness of her friends. There are people who go on the internet and check you out and look at your stuff and your art, your struggles, your openness about what you're doing, or your jokes. You are making a difference in that person's life, even if it's just for a second. And that, as I think, is what matters about the internet and about what we do. So I think, even though the algorithms are fucked up and people are leaving, I don't blame them. I might do it too. Like, I still think that that's the value that creators are going to be able to hold on to, despite whatever platform they're on.
Dude. I love that. That's so good.
That's good.
That is so good.
I like that.
You did it. That was a good positive wrap up before we're even ready to
Yeah,
wrap
that
up.
was a very good
Sorry.
positive.
That was so good. I love
good.
that.
But if you want to listen to that podcast, it's Rob Bell's Robcast, and it's called it's episode something. It's recent. The Undernet. It's good. It's really good.
I might listen to that. I love podcasts anyways. Podcasts are great.
They are. They very
They're
much
great.
are.
That's us.
We
All right,
say
there's
from our
just a couple
podcast.
more things I wanted to talk about before.
Yeah.
we get
I
out
didn't
of
mean
here.
to positive
No,
notes early.
I love it.
I do that sometimes.
I do positivity everywhere on a podcast that's specifically about being angry.
It's fine. This is
I
fine.
love it.
It's like a twist. It's
PewDiePie and Marzia got engaged. That's a big fucking deal.
Woo!
Yes.
I'm pretty
That's
pumped
super
about it because I
adorable.
love them both. I think they're great people. I don't know why, but Marcia's voice is really calming to me. So I used to
Also,
just leave.
everything about her face and her
So
humanity in
calming.
general. She is, like, also her fashion style.
Oh my god.
Like,
100%
everything about
pure
her is
creature.
just-
I don't.
yeah, she is pure.
I'm sad
She's
that
an
I
elf.
can't marry her now. She's incredible. I used to fall asleep to her voice all the time because she's just so chill and calm, and it makes me want to sleep. But I'm super happy for them. That's all. They've been dating for like 50 years.
Forever.
Yeah. And then Jack and
Oh,
Aaron.
and,
they got
Jack
married.
Stones,
Yeah,
yeah.
Jack
Yeah,
Stones
yeah.
and Aaron, his fiance for a long time.
did you see their hashtag?
No.
Jack and Aaron
It was-
ever after or something.
Aww.
It was Jack, ILY,
Jackalee.
Aaron after?
Jackalee.
So it was
Aaron
like
after.
Jackalee ever after.
That's adorable.
Yeah, Jackalee Aaron after. And it was like, that's just so freaking cute.
That is
That's
really
that's
cute.
so that's like a super intense like kind of pun, but it's like also poetic.
That's
I don't know. It
adorable.
was just a beautiful hashtag. That was just such a beautiful hashtag.
I love it. Oh, they're too good for this earth too.
Which is
They
so
are.
internet to obsess over the hashtag that
I
they
know,
use
but
for
it's really
everything.
cute. Everything's so
I
cute.
love it.
And then Prince William and Duchess Kate had a baby.
They had a
Which, you know,
baby.
they had the baby.
I saw
The royal baby.
pictures of them on so many
It's
magazines
totally
at the
not
store,
a big
and
deal,
that's
but I'm
the
really
extent.
stupid excited about it. I don't know why. I really like the royal family. It's the British file in me. I just like.
I wish
like
I knew
British
more about
people.
them, but I don't.
I'm too into the royal family. I had a woman, this is just total side note. I had a woman come up to me when I was at the help desk and I was, we were talking about stuff and I needed her email for a thing because I work at a help desk. I don't know if I mentioned that part. And I needed her email and it was just her name loves England. And I was like, alright. She was like, oh my god, have you ever been to London? I was like, I just got back from London a little bit ago. She was like, oh my god. And she went through her bag and she pulled out this stack of Polaroid pictures of her at the royal wedding.
Oh my god.
And she was like taking selfies of her, and then in the background the royal wedding was happening and the queen was
That's
right there
so
and stuff.
funny.
And she was so excited. It was the funniest experience.
That's
I've
And
ever
she
hilarious.
printed them?
Do what?
They're Polaroids.
And she printed them?
Yes.
And was just...
She had
That's great.
she had
Carrying them
some
around?
printed out and some Polaroids. It
Oh
was
my God.
just the funniest
Oh my
thing
God.
I've ever seen in my life. Ugh, she was such an
That
old
is
woman,
beautiful.
like, you know, clueless, but in an adorable way.
Yeah.
Anyways, total side note.
That's
She's my positive.
she's my positive.
Um,
Love for
and then-
England.
Yeah, just England lovers. And God of War came out. That's the last thing I wanted to talk about.
Woo! I know people keep talking about it.
Yeah. Did either of you look at it at
No.
all?
I
Okay,
did
it's really
not.
fucking good. That's all
I
I'm
know
gonna say.
nothing about God
I've
of War.
heard. Everybody keeps
It's
talking about
really
it, and
good.
I've been so overwhelmingly busy. I know
That's fair.
I've been a hermit, and I keep every podcast. I'm like, I've been busy. I'm not on the internet. I really am. Like, I'm just
No,
so
I
fucking
understand,
busy.
dude. I totally understand. I've just been watching people play it because I don't want to buy another game because
Yeah.
I'm a little poor sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one shot through all the cutscenes and gameplay, so it is never like a cut. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh.
Which is
That's
different
awesome.
than anything that's ever been done before, and it's like 4K. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful game.
Nice.
Who even cares about gameplay when it's just pretty? But it's getting like super crazy good reviews, and the game developers are really excited about it. And there was one in particular that was reading the reviews on camera, and he started crying, and I was like, "They're too good for this earth."
Oh my god.
It made me just
Game
stupid happy.
development is a thankless job. Okay,
Yes.
like David
Oh my
went.
God, it
My
is.
husband David went to school for great game design. Didn't fucking use it because it's a thankless job.
It's hard.
It's like
It's
graphic
hard.
design, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's
Also
like any job where
super
you have to
hard.
put things together for other people.
People only notice when you do your job wrong.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So to have a whole bunch of people be like, "This is amazing,"
Dude,
and I'm sure they poured their blood,
software-
sweat, and tears
Yeah.
into that, and I'm sure they're so happy.
I'm in software
That's awesome.
development. It's even less people will thank you for good software. It's just bad software, and they hate you if you do anything bad. So it's a good time.
Yeah.
All right, that's all the things I wanted to say.
Was there anything else that I wanted to mention?
I don't know.
I'm just gonna randomly recommend CeeLo on YouTube.
Hell yeah.
That's like C, like the C, and low as in not high. It's just a cool channel. They've got like a couple videos that talk about like YouTube algorithm stuff. So if you're like super into YouTube, watch all of those videos because they're actually very informational.
Awesome.
Nice.
Any random recommendations or things from you, Crystal?
I haven't been watching or consuming any content at all. Dude, my life,
I can respect that.
Like, my life is like work, not on the internet, like, and when I say work, like, it's either ripping floorboards out of my new apartment and replacing them, or like animating for 8 hours straight and then going the fuck to bed. Like, I don't have time for anything.
It's like work for your job
Stretch
or
those
personal
wrists.
work.
You're gonna be 80-year-old wrists if you're not careful.
Yeah, dude. I know.
I've got
but
those little
I'm trying to think,
arthritic
have I
wrists.
consumed any content at all? I mean, hey, if you haven't played Final Fantasy 15 yet, you better do that because it's a great game and it's amazing. I'm trash. Play it. It's good. It has its problems. Don't get me started, but it's a great game. Play it. Okay, that's my recommendation.
I love it. All right. Dude, we ended on a really positive note. Like, all these things are happy.
Yeah.
I'm really excited
I'm
to
okay
do
with
it.
all
This
of
is
this.
like the happiest I've ever been ending our podcast.
Same,
It's a great
though.
time. You know, life's not so bad all the time.
No. You can be
Yeah.
salty and also have a nice day.
Yeah, it's true. Today's a good day.
You know
Salty
what?
and sweet.
I'm gonna say being salty is like, yeah, you can be like nasty and negative about it, but they can also have the connotation of being like, I don't know, not okay with the status quo and not being afraid to challenge ideas in a positive way.
I like that.
Boom.
Yeah.
Positively challenging.
Yep.
I
But
like
then
it.
also
I'm into
sometimes
it.
cursing and saying fuck. But, you know.
You need to sometimes. Sometimes it needs to happen. All right, you want to say our platforms, Krista?
Yeah, you guys can check us out every Monday, mostly, on iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, and Google Play. And our handles are...
At Happy Panda Party.
At Echo is Weird.
And at the Crystal Joy.
And remember, friends, the human body cannot survive without salt. Thank you for listening.
Awesome.
Bye.
You'll have a great week. Bye.